Welcome to the On Stage podcast, where we interview musicians and members of the entertainment community. Okay, anyway, you were on the platform before, so. Hey, haven't seen you in a year. Hey, everyone, it's
Time
Allison Burns.
flies.
It's Allison Elizabeth Burns, the
Thanks.
compassionate performing arts professional with a
Yeah.
strong commitment to public engagement in dance. And a choreographer, performer, educator, and producer based in Ottawa, Ontario, which is like 6-7 hours from here, I think. So it was very nice to see you again. So
Yeah, thanks for having me back, Chris.
Oh yeah, I thought, let's have Allison back because I'm pretty sure that within the last year she's come up with more dances, perfected a lot of her other dances. I was actually watching on your YouTube. One of your dances is, if I could just get that there, lines and curves, which is I was looking at that one again. I'm thinking, well, that's very, very good. And
thank you.
I also liked your one you did outside, which is called the Little by Little. I actually like
Thank
that one.
you.
You're welcome. So, Allison, what have you been up to since the last time we met? Can you give the little audience first of all, who you are and what have you been up to the last year?
I want to, as an in, I would just want to respond to your comments on those two videos because those were built in like vastly different ways. The Little by Little was like a very long process of like building the choreography little by little, if you can imagine, and then finding a location and shooting it and editing it. It's a lot of like cut frames and different viewpoints. And then the Lines and Curves was a really simple like concept execution. Everything happened in one day. And I was thinking about the results afterwards and talking to my advisory committee about it, which is like a group of people I have together. We meet 3 times a year and I just like get their read on things and see how things are being accepted or received by people. And it's like the Lines and Curves had a really strong response. It had a lot of views, like people were really into it. I was like, what? That was so unexpected for me. I thought the one with like the higher production value with like the longer time commitment would have been more, would have had a higher response. But I think what it is about Lines and Curves is that I tell you what to look for, and there's something to see in it. It's the alphabet for anybody who hasn't seen it. I'm doing the alphabet with my torso, and I think that made it much more accessible and interesting to people to watch because it's like, oh, I can kind of see a glimpse. It's very interpretive, but you can still see glimpses of the shapes of letters that are recognizable. So also it had music, which rather than the soundscape of the outdoor environment in Little by Little. So I'm learning as I go about what people are most interested in. But at the same time, like still doing things that interest me, certainly. I have been mostly dormant, really. I have a 2-year-old. So I've been doing what I can to kind of stay relevant, taking classes, making sure dance works. And most recently, I choreographed a stage production that's been in the works since 2020. So we've been working for like 3 years now. And that finally came to stage, and it was so awesome to see it in its full glory, and to work so closely with a director and a writer to like involve the movement and the dance like intricately into the production was like such a treat. I'm really proud of the work that we did together. That was called Exciting Cause, and we can talk more about that if you'd like. But you also asked me to like introduce myself, and I've like, I'm this far in and I haven't done that yet. So I would be remiss if I just sped through that. So you gave me a beautiful introduction already. I'm based in Ottawa. My primary focus is choreography. I also perform and educate. And when I say educate, I don't just mean teach dance classes, which I do, and workshops, but also I have my own podcast called Dirty Feet, which is like, again, most of what I do is targeted at the dance curious and people who want a stronger relationship with dance, but maybe don't know where to start, or want an invitation. And I'm very happy to like extend that invitation. And along with that, I do speaking gigs and kind of activation and things where I can more spark dialogue and answer questions and get people involved, because I love dance, as you can tell, and I approach it from many different places and with many different skills. So I love to share that with people and also spark their interest and their love of dance and production as well. So I like to produce the work of the people that I appreciate and give opportunities for other artists to have their dance work shown. So yeah, that's me in a nutshell.
That's awesome. And we know we all love nuts on our program. Little joke. Yeah. So watching that lines and curves one, we go back to that. I'm kind of wondering, like, did you plan to, like, if it's for just showing the alphabet, I think there's a few there's a few letters in there that were hard to do. Like, for instance, how would you do the Z, for instance? The Y is easy, but how would you do the A or the H?
That's I don't know anymore. I made this so long ago, I can't remember how it is I did it, but I can tell you what it felt like to put it together as I was like running through the alphabet. Something else about the video, if you haven't seen it, I'm lying on the floor while I'm doing it, and like I have the camera kind of suspended above me, so you're just seeing me kind of like from the waist up, and it cuts closer and further away throughout the alphabet. So I'm kind of like slithering along the floor when I'm making those like S's or creating a curve for the C and things like that. So I'm thinking not just about like the shape of the letter, but like if it had a rhythm, what would the rhythm be? So there's like more of a jerky situation for letters like K and Z, where I feel like you have those sharp lines. So I'm interpreting it not just like doing the YMCA, but also trying to like feel my way through the alphabet and like what personality I would give the letters based on the shapes. Yeah, so that's a more elaborate answer than maybe you were looking for. I couldn't
No, that's
repeat
fine.
the shape for you right now.
I mean, being a dancer and how you do all these performances, I'm pretty sure that there are some routines which, I don't know, like what is considered a dance and what is considered a body movement and what is considered just the normal day of life. For instance, we have like roofers here, they're fixing the roof and the balconies. And, when you do construction, you're moving your arms like this and whatever. Is that considered a dance unless you put like a little Mary Poppins music into it where you're on like these chimney sweeps on the roof? You're going step in time, step.
I
I'm being,
love this question. No, this is
yeah.
great. So in contemporary dance, there's something that we talk about pedestrian movement. And there's a bunch of choreographers who have kind of innovated this pedestrian movement style. So taking what you would see those roofers or people waiting for the subway, or like in university, once they took us to the train station and they sat us down, they were like, observe the people and like write down some movements based on what people are doing. And we can take that back into the studio and like just finding different sources of inspiration, right? And then is that something that you abstract, or do you put that on stage verbatim? And then how do you walk on stage as if you're walking through the train station? And then that is surprisingly difficult to do. That's one of the things that I like to do in like beginners workshops with adults for contemporary dance. Is we do not a lot of, but we do some walking, because as soon as you are in this like performative or dance context and you're asked to walk, it's just like it's a little bit weird. And then you talk about, okay, let's walk backwards, and how can we walk backwards with confidence and with poise and sideways, and then we can play with speed and levels, and we can play once we start with something, whatever that something is. But then what also came to mind when you were asking that question is like, this came up recently when in one of the reviews for Exciting Cause for the play I choreographed, the reviewer was very upfront about the fact that he's used to reviewing musicals. And he's like, so, you know, I'm going to
Oh.
see a play with dance in it. And he was like, this was so different because we had embedded a lot of the movement into the text. And then, yeah, this comes up sometimes when I'm like, whose domain is this? Is this my domain? Is this the director's domain? Is this the performer's domain? Because we're starting to get into gesture territory. You know, I was having the performers do abstract gestures and relating them to specific words in the play, which then made things a bit off kilter, which is like what we were going for. It's a ghost story, and it's about the Rockwood Asylum for the criminally insane. So there's this like element of bizarre and a bit off. So adding these like strange gestures right into the play like gave us a bit of fuel for that mood we were trying to create. Yeah, and the reviewer was like, wow, like, I don't know what to do with this. There was a drowning scene that he was particularly impressed with, where the performer is like twirling and calling out for help while like we have no water on stage. We had some water sound effects, and then she just with her body and her movements and her twirling like showed all of that through her movement.
Well, sort of
And then
like
there were
charades.
moments, yeah, go ahead.
Sort of like charades.
Yeah, perhaps. I mean, yeah. I think in some moments there's like an element of mime. But in some moments it's more about trying to create like a visceral emotive reaction. Because especially when you're watching dance live, you have like mirror neurons that go off. So when you see someone do something, this was peace for us, then your brain like low key feels that in your body, and that can create a feeling within you right there. So it's not necessarily, we're not asking people to interpret like, what do you think this action means with their brain necessarily? It's more like, how does this make you feel? Is that a little bit anxious? Like, does that provoke some anxiety? Is it a bit unsettling? Without necessarily saying, what I'm trying to say here is that the world is going too fast and we're accelerating socially. You know, like it's just, we just get it in there very subtly and quickly. It's efficient. It's an efficient way of evoking some emotion, like music, right? When you can like, you know, get some strings in there and get in the minor chord where you like evoke some anguish, and it's like a right to the point, right to the heart of the thing. And then you throw the text in there as well, and you can really create a whole atmosphere.
Yeah, I agree with that. What do you think is the most difficult part of the body movement in a performance? For instance, I notice there's not much going in the moonwalk, Michael Jackson moonwalk, but I noticed that on TikTok, there's a couple and they do like the sort of robot move, and they're really good and fluent. And I'm thinking, what are their bones doing? Like, how does that work? How is that considered? What kind of dance is that? Like, how is that? Do you know how that is uniquely portrayed? Like how it works?
Well, if they're like,
Yeah, it's like
yeah, I would call that popping and locking,
yeah,
which is
yeah.
the subsect of like an urban dance style, like b-boying or b-dancing, and it's like really really impressive, and it's like highly technical too, just like in a
Yeah.
different way than I've studied for sure. And I love that. It's really great. I think a lot of, yeah, when I'm scrolling, I'm seeing those dances and it's like a lot of high energy, and it's a lot of, usually it's like celebratory and exciting, and yeah, we're really stoked on like the skill involved and the relationship with the music. It's usually very musical, very like on beat, and you like play with the playful parts of the music, and it's yeah, it's really energetic and exciting. What's the is there more to your question than that?
No, it's just that I wonder what you said it was a bone locking, but I'm wondering like I used to
Pop and
do that
lock.
back in high
Mhm.
school. Yeah, I used to do the robot. And then there was a couple back in the 70s, a show called the Shields and Yarnell show, husband and wife who did the robots and they did skits, but they were doing
Yeah.
like that, you know? And I love
Yeah.
that. I used to learn I actually learned how to do that and but there's so many dances out there. Now I ask others this question.
Mhm.
Um like for instance, a movie director, I asked, since he's an actor, I said, "How do you direct yourself?" So, how
Mm.
do you choreography yourself? How do
Good.
you know that? Do you do it in front of a mirror, for instance? Like, how would you choreograph
Mm.
yourself?
I want to, before we get too far away from popping and locking, because I would be remiss if I didn't say like that style and all its like brothers and sisters there like have a really rich history. Um, and I'm like not equipped to speak on it. But there's a lot going on there, and I would encourage people who are interested in it to check it out. It's a young history, which is kind of cool too. Like the OG creators of those styles, some of them are still around. Like
Mm,
it's as far as like dance styles are concerned, it's like fairly young. Um, and you know, like a lot of things, it comes out of adversity, and it's its own culture, and it's definitely worth exploring. But I do not want to get the details wrong, so I'm going to leave it there. But I will move on to your question about choreographing on myself. I don't love using mirrors when I work. I like to work somatically, which is like from feeling versus from shape. So I prefer to kind of do that first. And especially if I'm working on something that's going to be for film, I like to film it as I go so I can look at it and see what's going on. Um, it's just it's a different perspective watching it on film when you're not in the middle of doing it versus kind of having a real time demo of what's going on. And it, you know, it might depend on where your head is at too. Like if that's part of the movement, that's a little
mhm.
bit harder to kind of see how it's coming across while you're doing it. So that's how I like to do it. Certainly, I did for lines and curves, that more intensive process. Oh no, sorry, the other one. Little by little, I recorded every day my process of building on to the
Mhm.
choreography, and then I sped it up and hunked it all together so that my patrons could see the behind the scenes of me like putting it together and like rushing through, okay, figure out the move and then practice it and practice it again and add it onto the thing and practice it again and again and again. And so yeah, not only was I making that as a behind the scenes, but also for me, so I could watch it and look at it and see how it was developing. And then once it came to filming, I would know what angles I wanted based on what it looked like on the film already.
Yeah. So, but if you don't like it, do you have to redo it, or do you just say, "Oh, that's okay"? Because don't you think that people will notice if you have mistakes? Do you notice your own mistakes? Like if one of your
Oh,
dances where you're going like this, but you actually went like this, you didn't bend your fingers. Do you correct that, or do you notice little details like that? Like blue flame, for
yeah.
instance. What if instead of doing this, you didn't do anything with your hands? You didn't. Would you think people would know what a blue flame looks like if you did that? I'm
Well,
sorry,
blue.
I'm asking the deep questions.
No, I love it. I love it. Blue flame's a little different because blue flame is an improvisation, and
Mm.
that one, the other two videos we've talked about were created in silence.
Oh,
One
okay.
of them I found the music for afterwards, but Blue Flame was based on the music. So it was Tristan Henry's song.
Mhm.
And I listened to it and improvised with it until I had like a structure that I was really happy with.
Mhm.
And then I recorded that final. Well, I kept recording as I went again to
Mm.
kind of like see what was coming across and how it was working and whatnot. But I didn't set anything specific, so there was nothing to excuse me to correct in that. Um, But if I'm setting a choreography that I like with this play or with previous contemporary dance pieces I've done in the past, I do tend to be very meticulous with myself or with other performers about how I like things done. And I am detail oriented. I do like, everyone to be facing the exact right angle that I'm looking for, and the right tension in the fingertips and all that. And I will rehearse it. Often what it comes down to is the time that we have. You can at a certain point you have to stop and you have to present the work. You can't keep polishing it, as we say. We say we're polishing it as we continue to rehearse it, and it gets cleaner and cleaner.
Yeah, because you're professional and you want people to see your profession. Just in case you have people saying, I want Allison to teach me, or I want Allison, I want to hire her or something. But it's good to be perfect in your performances. You don't want to just, as my dad said, throw your hat at it, which means that it's good enough. You don't want to be the good enough dancer. You want to be the spot on dancer, correct?
Yeah. There's this word that I think of sometimes. I had a mentor use it once. Integrity. Like it's not okay. So perfection is a funny thing, especially when you're like perfect, like in the way that you envision it. Like maybe this is the perfect shape. Like it's anyway. Perfect is a strange word, but like the integrity of what I'm trying to do. Like I want to have a high level of integrity for whatever that, even if it is an improvisation, right? Like I want the hits to be hit. I want what I intended to happen, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Oh, makes perfect sense. Yeah, you're actually very professional there. That's why I wanted you back, because I knew that within a year since we saw each other, that you would have different dance moves, more this and that. Excellent. Um, we have a dance. Believe it or not, there's a dance studio up here, and
Woohoo.
they, yeah, yes, and I have an interest in learning a type of dance, because what happened is that it said that if you want to learn all these dances here and also the tango, and I'm saying I want to learn the tango.
Mm.
I want to learn the I don't want to learn the salsa, but I want to learn the where you go like this and you're dipping the girl, and it's sort of like the
Swing.
tango, the swing, yeah, the swing and the tango. So that's going to be interesting. But do you know how to do the tango?
My husband and I have taken some tango lessons. We've taken like general ballroom, so like tango and foxtrot and waltz. I've also taken some salsa and like a very few swing lessons. But yeah, I've done some partner dancing, I can say.
Is your favorite Christmas movie, the one with of the one with Lacey Chabert, called The Christmas Waltz?
Oh, I don't
Where
know that one.
you should watch that one, because she actually
Okay.
learns to waltz. That's a pretty good one. Yeah, so I want to learn a tango, and I think it's good for me too. Um,
Hmm.
yeah, I don't know if I asked you this question before, but is a lot of yoga involved in dancing? Would you say it's a lot of yoga moves, but it's more fluidly, sort of?
Oh, I wouldn't say that. No, what I would say, I was just talking to a colleague about this the other day. Like there is a relationship between dance and yoga in practice. Like I think it's very beneficial for a lot of dancers. Like yoga is very beneficial for a lot of dancers. Um, Often you'll see like dancers don't just dance. A lot of
Mhm.
dancers go to the gym, have personal trainers, do Pilates, do yoga, do weight training,
Mhm.
whatever else to maintain their bodies and keep them running, and also like support the stress that they put their bodies under. So yeah, certainly yoga is a tool that a lot of dancers use. I wouldn't say, like, there was actually a piece that I made in 2017 called "Do You Want to Live Forever,"
Mm.
where I had my now husband in the work, and he's trained as an actor, but not as a dancer. He's trained in movement in so much as a lot of actors are. So I wanted to use him for his acting, but also I wanted to incorporate him into some of the dance, some of the movement I was doing in the show. So I took advantage of the fact that he did yoga and then incorporated some of that into what he was doing, primarily because I think there's a way to communicate with people who aren't used to dance that's different than communicating with dancers. Because when you're working in dance, you kind of develop a vocabulary about how to move, but also you develop a muscle memory and just ways of retaining movement sequences, like just knowing what to do next. That's like a muscle. That's a skill that you develop when you're studying dance. So when you haven't been doing that for like 15 years, you need some more trail markers on how to get through the movement. And I guess I use that as well with this most latest production I was doing. Just I didn't use any material from yoga practice, but just having something recognizable to attach to the next recognizable marker so that you can find your logic through the piece. Like ABCD for my lines and curves, for example, but just some map basically to get through the choreography.
That was good. And you're talking about there's a lot of body movements, and I guess you call it body locking for the robot part of it.
Hop and
It brought
lock.
Hawk and Lock. Yeah, it brought me back to I've seen a few videos like that. Now, so your songs, I really love your songs. I heard them all. If I Want You to Love Me by Fiona Apple.
Mm-hmm.
Is that one you actually choreographed and danced through yourself? Or is that just like when I asked you for 10 songs, with the songs that you can dance to, correct?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, because I noticed that one of them, Dreams, is one you choreograph, but this one
yeah.
here, by Fiona
Fiona
Apple,
Apple.
I
Yeah.
Want You to Love Me. So the verse goes like, I've waited many years. Every print I left upon the track has led me here. And next year it'll be clear. This was only leading me to that. And by that time, I hope that. So you're able to perform each of those lyrics. Is that what it's all about? Like, I've waited many years. How do you dance that lyric?
So to start with, this is not specific to this question, but broader, like my relationship with music as a choreographer. I almost always choreograph in silence and then incorporate the music. There are a few exceptions, like I already spoke about Blue Flame, and also we're going to get to Ouijist from Nicole Lizée later, where I have a choreography to that piece as well, and a few others on the list. That where I started with the music and choreographed to the music. In this case, what happened is I was developing a workshop where they wanted to use some of my repertoire, but I didn't want to use like it was like a weird soundscape I was using for the material I wanted to bring to the workshop. So I wanted to make it more fun for them by setting it to an actual song. And I just love everything Fiona Apple has ever made. And I think she's a creative genius. I just love her Fetch the Bolt Cutters album is like so weird and wild and fun. And this is the first song on that album. And so I was like, oh, I knew I need to use some Fiona Apple. So I was looking through her songs for one that suited the work I was doing. So it wasn't that I was interpreting the lyrics. I was finding a way to set that material to the music. And something I had a lot of fun with, something she does right after that text that you read is she really extends some words. I want you to love me. And then she makes them really long and weird. So we would do like beat, beat, beat choreography on her spoken text. And then the U's we would get weird with. And I would, assign some more structured improvisation in those moments. You're going to hold hands and you're going to twist around. You're going to, create a space by traveling through the studio, that kind of thing. Yeah, so I really liked how that worked out. And generally I just Fiona Apple moves me in more ways than one. So
Yeah.
that's that song.
Well, I can understand verse 2. I move with the trees and the breeze. That would be easy to do. But all my particles disband and disperse. How would you do that one?
Well, again, I'm not choreographing. I'm not
No,
interpreting
but
the
if
words
you
for the
if
dance.
you literally, I know someone who's deaf would be actually signing everything. So that
Mm,
would be more like a hand dance, I guess, sort of like. But yeah, so I can
yeah.
see. I know that time is elastic. All I know when I go. Great songs. Good
Oh,
choice.
it's great. Yeah. And that would be a fun exercise as you're suggesting to like go through it line by line and create a dance to the lyrics. And certainly a lot of people do that and it's very cool to see. And it's like I was discussing with the lines and curves with the ABCs, like it is very satisfying to see and hear at the same time, the same like if you're showing visually what you're hearing, it can be really satisfying.
Yeah, um, that's true. I guess anything can be a dance. I'm thinking of that new song by Shakira. Remember that one? You ever seen that new one?
I don't know what the new one is, no.
Oh wow. Yeah, it's one of her newest ones. What's it called? It's called the Shakira Dance TikTok,
Okay.
and I think it's called the Bees. Well, it's taking a hard time for that. Anyway, so now it's it must be my internet or something. So, but what about the Robyn song? You got a good song called "Dancing on My Own" by Robyn.
Oh yeah. Robyn's another artist that I really appreciate. And I just picked mm, it's hard to pick a favorite song by her, but yeah, just one that gets me moving. And that's more I can't remember your original question, but it like songs that make me want to move.
Yeah,
And that one makes me want to move, certainly when it comes on, and I think it would make a lot of people want to move. Just it's got a good beat, it's got some catchy lyrics, it's really fun. You just can picture yourself, bobbing around your kitchen and enjoying the music.
so what you're saying is that you do the choreograph first in silence, and then you dance for the music. What if someone said, "Okay, I want you to interpret a song, and I want you to do it in silence," and it's like, okay, and then they play the song, and it's like, what, what? Like, let's take what would be one song that's not danceable? Okay, I don't say Bohemian Rhapsody. Let's okay. Hit Me Baby One More Time. Like that was all choreographed by Britney
Mm,
Spears and all in sync as well.
yeah.
That's a nice one. But what if they like for instance, I'm looking at that Trooper song. I've totally forgot about Trooper until you told me that you love the Trooper song. We're here for a long time, and I was like, right, they're the sports car people. I totally forgot about that group. So I listened to it. And I remember that song. A very good friend of mine told me something the other day. I'd like to pass it on to you because I believe what he said to be true. So that's also a good song.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that one and the Tribe Called Red song, those are like songs that I'm going to dance to in the kitchen when they pop on my my personal radio station. I don't want to plug the specific streaming service, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah, just like or Make a New Dance Up by Hey Ocean. That's another one on the list that it's like, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
these are songs that I just love to dance to, and I think a lot of people do as well, I would
Yep.
say.
I like that one. But your dull normal one, that's
Yeah.
I never heard of that. That's the name of the singer, I think. Doll, I think, wasn't it? That the
Yeah,
name of the
Doll
singer?
Normal. Yeah,
Yeah.
they're actually that's, my sister-in-law.
Mm.
So that was, a joyful collaboration that we did, and actually that's a music video, so it kind of, comes in with your Britney Spears comment. So basically what happened in that, collaboration is that they invited me to, um choreograph a music video. And there were kind of 2 songs on the album that still needed videos. So I listened to both songs, and we talked about concepts back and forth, and then we settled on dreams, and we settled on this concept of the flashing lights. And then I, set up a space, and I wanted to incorporate this mirror, and then just listening to the song over and over again and kind of developing some movements and some stylized way of filming it. And then actually, yeah. And then Dull Normal did all the editing and produced the final cut. So that's how that came to be. So that was, that certainly the music inspired all of that you saw in the video.
Yeah, I've never heard it before. I kind of like it.
Oh yeah. Yeah. They're great. The music is amazing. It's like poppy stuff with like vocal gymnastics. Like,
yeah, I know.
Multiple degrees in singing, like very, very talented.
Yeah, I went through Spotify to find these songs, and that Dull Normal one kind of struck out next to Trooper. She chose a Trooper song. Oh yeah, I remember that group. There's a lot of groups I forgot about, and Trooper was one of them. So yeah, we're here for a good time, not a long time. A very good friend of mine told me something the other day. I like to pass it on to you because I believe what he said to be true. Yeah, so those are interesting lyrics. Is there a specific dance that is difficult for you that you will not do, that you will not perform, or that it's sort of like, for instance, my Mount Everest song is Nessun Dorma, so I'm learning that song. Is pretty difficult to do, but once I attain it and learn it, I'll be planting that flag on top of the mountain. So what about you? What's your Mount Everest dance? Do you have one?
Oh, I don't know, because I'm working in contemporary dance. Like certainly there's repertoire that people put up and produce. I'm not really in the practice of doing that. Like in class in ballet, like there's the Swan Lake solo, there's the Arabian solo and the Nutcracker. There's all these like pieces that are famous and even known colloquially, like people just kind of have an idea of like do of Swan Lake. Like there's a little bit less of that in contemporary dance. There's a lot of innovation happening, and there's a lot of work that's created specifically for the people who are performing it, and like a tailored experience. And there's a lot of what I was mentioning before, like somatic work, that's where the instructions are a lot more about how it feels and how it comes to be, or the structure of the improvisation, than it is about the exact structure of the work, which is not to say that it doesn't exist, that people are certainly reproducing repertoire in the contemporary field. It is not something that I do. I do not like go out and teach myself famous dance works. I imagine other people do, and I think that would be a really cool practice. But it's quite different than I know with music, right? You like can. And also, there's like sheet music, which makes it a little more accessible too, to be able to recreate works that other people have done. Versus, I guess you would use a lot of there is such thing as dance notation, but it's not very widely used. So it would be more watching videos and recreating them, which is like really like a new practice through TikTok, right? That's what people have been doing for years on TikTok, is watching each other do dances and then recreating them. But I can't say that
totally
there's a dance that
yeah,
I'm like
I totally agree. Yeah,
really trying to get to. So
yeah, yeah. These are excellent. October by Tristan Henry, Cirrus by Bonobo. Some I couldn't find though. There's a few from Kayla Milmine. Magick is merely to be and to do. That one I couldn't find. But Make It Dance Up, I was listening to. Wow, hey Ocean, this is awesome. I like this one.
it's a lot of fun.
That's a good song.
Yeah. Well, I can speak to some of those songs because they come with little stories. Like Nicole is a Canadian contemporary choreographer who has like really wild, fun instrumental work, and instrumental, but also sometimes electronic. Like it's very, she plays with the medium quite a bit. And I was actually invited to use a work of a Canadian artist in this database by the Alberta Dance Festival in 2017, 2019. When did I do that? I don't know. The Wild. I have it right here. But yeah, it was a residency and a production. Like there was a performance run at the end of the residency, and all the artists that were invited to participate had access to this database, and they could use one song royalty free for this production. So I found this song in their database, and it's like very overwhelming and very intricate, and I loved it, and I was interested in exploring this theme of witches, and I just felt like it really kind of connected with that kind of, I don't know, there's this like articulation, intricacy, magic, like it just felt so magic to me. And this is an example where I was really true to the music as we built the choreography. And it ended up being like a very intricate piece with a lot of details and a lot of movement. And it just kind of like built in chaos till the end, as the music does. And that was a really satisfying experience to do that. Yeah.
I bet. You ever tried to challenge yourself though? Like added moves or created moves, like just to have fun? Like you don't want to be too focused just on certain aspect, but you wanted to challenge us. You ever challenge us? I lost the question. Let's
All
try
the
this again.
time. I challenge myself all the time. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if there's a specific way in which you're asking. I mean, my whole philosophy is to like dive in the deep end. I like to sign myself up for things that then figure out how to make it happen later, you know? Yeah, I love taking on challenges. Improvisation. So I'm going to link this to another one of the songs on the track by Kayla Milmine. Kayla is a collaborator of mine for a long time now. We've been working together for over a decade. And we started working together. She is a soprano saxophone player. And she's very contemporary in her style at this point. When we met, she was studying and she was doing some jazz and whatnot. And we were both quite intimidated by improvisation. So we started working together, doing jams and then doing performative jams and inviting more people and doing gigs that way. And then we've actually, we moved away from each other. And then when the pandemic happened, we started doing our jams virtually. So those are also available on my YouTube channel. And I've had her score some of my work over the years. Most recently, she scored The Crone, which is a dance video that I did, which was loosely based on the Wild piece that I did earlier, or I just discussed recently. And actually, she didn't create new songs for that, but I had two tracks of hers that I really liked, and she kind of made them fit the video. Anyway, which is to say that's another example of like me embracing challenge, like going from this place of being really terrified of performing improvisation in front of people to it becoming one of my favorite things to do through this practice with Kayla. So,
well, that's good that you know all these people you can help out. That's pretty good.
Oh yeah, for sure. For sure. They're so valuable, collaborators, 100%. So yeah, when I find one I like, I keep using them. So for example, Doll Normal has also scored a dance video of mine called All Dressed Up to Walk the Dog. That collaboration happened first before I did the music video Dreams.
Yes, I think it's still not coming up. Okay. Yeah.
And then the other one on that list is Tristan Henry. So that piece on that list, October, is the song that's in Blue Flame that inspired that. But Tristan has also made a lot of original music for my works, for a bunch of my stage productions, and for the debate dance video. Yeah.
Yeah, you're talking about Nicole Lizée. I can't even pronounce that. We what is that? What word is it? How do you pronounce that?
Ouijist.
Ouijist?
Yeah, I guess so.
Okay.
Ouijist.
Yeah,
Ouijist.
Ouijist.
Yeah.
Oh, she's French, so obviously Ouijist is, if you like translate in English, it must be something. But yeah, Dreams is good. Dancing on My Own with Robyn. Electric Powwow Drum, A Tribe Called Red. I'm
Hmm.
thinking, okay, it's got to be a Tribe Called Quest because she must have written that wrong. But no, it's Tribe Called Red. There's a Tribe
Yeah.
Called Red out there. So I listened to that one. That's pretty interesting. So these are your favorite danceable songs?
Yeah, that I came up with on 2 days' notice. Yeah. And I was just looking at the list too. Bonobo is has another story to it, just that it's like
Hmm.
fabulous music if you don't have an accompany like a drummer or a piano player or somebody to accompany your dance class. And you're teaching contemporary dance, Bonobo is like a great option. They've got really chill music and it's got like really clear time signatures and it's like really nice to just set your exercises too. So I really appreciate Bonobo and
Yeah.
what they do.
Well, that's really interesting. Yeah, these songs weren't bad. I mean, I kind of danced it up with Make a New Dance Up. Kind of danced
Yeah,
to that one. That was pretty good.
great.
And I Want You to Love Me, the one with Fiona Apple. I definitely like that one. We know music can be copyrighted, and I think lyrics can be copyrighted. Can dance be copyrighted? Can you copyright a dance so that nobody else is allowed to dance?
Oh my goodness. This is beyond my scope.
Oh, okay.
But I can tell you something interesting that has happened to me recently is after we wrapped the production, the play, because we're hoping that this is an original script, and I collaborated really closely with the writer. In fact, she was taking cues off of the movement I was developing
Hmm.
to adjust the script, so it was like very integrated. So while she's submitting this script to other places and other opportunities and getting it kind of like archived properly, I was tasked to include my movement notes in the
Oh,
script,
really?
which was a really interesting process. Yeah, of like, I had to create some appendices because, you don't want your stage directions to go on for 3 pages. You kind of have to
Hmm.
say what's important and move on. I don't know if anybody knows that, but that is what I've learned. So yeah, that was really exciting and a new challenge to try and not just archive the work in words, but um, decide what was important about that word I was talking about earlier, integrity, right? What's the integrity of this piece? What is of what we've built, like what's the most important thing to keep in mind for the next choreographer or movement director
Hmm.
who's going to pick up this script and like try and put this back on stage? Like, what do I want to tell them? And so it involved me saying what was important and what wasn't important too. Not what wasn't important, but like where they have free reign to create their own version of what I've done, like what I think needs to remain the same and what can change, and it will still have the intention that I've intended for it. So but yeah, I can't speak properly to copyright. I imagine it's possible, but that's not a process that I've ever gone through personally.
Yeah, but well, back to the gentleman you're talking about. Maybe he wants to do it his way and forget about what Allison Burns said. I'm going to do it the way I think it should be done. So he does a
Yeah,
totally different 180-degree turn
yeah.
and said,
I
"We're
mean,
going to
that
do it
happens in
my way."
theater all the time. Sorry. What was the end of your thought?
What was that?
I cut you off and I couldn't hear the end of your thought. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I said he might have a different idea of how it should be, not
Hmm.
what you told him. He might say, "Yeah, thank you, Allison. I'll take that in mind," and then he'll just do his own thing, and it might even be better than the one you did.
Hmm.
So, what are you gonna do? Complain? Say
Yeah.
you can't do it. You have to do it my way.
Well, that's yeah, my response remains the same. That happens in theater all the time, right? Like people are still putting up Shakespeare and they're finding weird ways to do it. Like people make adaptations all the time. Directors make choices that contradict the stage directions or the original script. And I mean, that's how it works. I mean, things, you build on other people's work, and certainly I would hope it would be better. I would hope, we spent a lot of time building this thing, and every time we worked on it, it got better. Every time we workshopped it, it got better. So hopefully with everything we've done, the next time somebody works on it, whether it be us or whether it be somebody else, that it gets better. I would hope that would be true.
That's amazing. So what do you feel are the most popular dance types today?
Well, probably. I mean, I think it depends on where you are. I can only respond to like what I'm seeing where I am. But urban dance styles are very popular right now, as far as I can tell, which includes that popping and locking that you were talking about earlier.
The flossing. Oh my goodness, that flossing is ridiculous. Well, what is that? It's like,
Oh, flossing? Yeah,
flossing.
flossing.
Like, what is?
I think that
It's
might be
weird.
out by now. That was really cool with the kids when I was doing school workshops a few years ago. Those things cycle pretty quickly. That was really popularized by Fortnite, the video game. They were taking a lot of existing dance moves and like really rocketing them to fame amongst like, school age kids. So yeah, but I think jazz is up there too, maybe still popular. Yeah.
Yeah, actually, right.
Breaking is very popular.
Yeah, I do have 10 of the most popular types of dance here.
Okay.
And you probably won't believe what number 10 is, but you'll probably believe what number
Well,
1 is.
I want to amend my question because I think,
Yep.
or my answer, because I've completely discounted all the partner dancing, and I feel
Okay.
like your list might include some partner dancing. And I think the most social of them is swing. So maybe swing, and maybe I think there's also like big like Scottish dancing communities. So maybe that's on there. I don't know. Okay, tell me your list.
Yeah, well, ballet is number 1.
Okay. Classic.
Now, yes. Now, your swing dance is number 10. Now, ballet. Did I ask you this before? Why are they on their tippy toes? What does that do for you?
Oh gosh. It gives you length. I mean, this is like, in my opinion, a bit archaic at this point. It's brutal on the poor dancers. But it just adds to that, like the length of the leg and the weightlessness of the performer and the delicacy of them and their superhuman element. So I think that's what that's all about. Yeah. But ballet minus the toe shoes is like a really awesome foundation for all dance styles and other sports as well. I've heard it's a popular thing for football players and other people doing extreme sports, where because it's a lot of work on alignment and strength and kind of like lean, strong muscles. Plus, you're getting that like stretching in as well. Yeah, it's pretty foundational. It's pretty awesome. I'm glad I never had to do it to a degree where it kind of did my body damage at a young age, which it does do to some young bodies that are pushed a little too far. But it can be super beneficial. And in my case, I feel like it was really foundational for my dance career.
Maybe when they're ballet dancing, but if you walk on your tippy toes on a normal basis, like one of my girlfriends did, and I'm like, why are you always walking on tippy toes? And she goes, oh, because I'm a ballet dancer. I said, yeah, when you're ballet, but not when you're with me. But she still did it. It was just a normal, like a natural thing. Like she couldn't help it. And I was like,
oh, well, I don't know what that's about.
I know.
But I do know as like a young girl, I could not wait to get point shoes. And like, that was a very, very exciting day when I got my first pair of point shoes. And that was like really, it was all about point. That's all we wanted to do was dance on point. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like it's amazing. So and number 2 is ballroom dancing. What are your take? What's your take on ballroom dancing?
I think that makes sense. I mean, the social dances, the partner dances have like so much going for them. Um, like they're social, you know, it's a fun activity you can do with people you know or people you don't know when you're like taking classes, or like a lot of like swing dance jams and things like that, or tango meets where you can just go and like be with people and meet new people and dance up a storm, and you're getting some exercise, and it feels like a lot less pressure because you're not necessarily on a stage. Like, you're just in an environment where other people are doing the same thing. You're enjoying the music. It's very musical. So if you have an appreciation for that, you know, you get a 2-for-1. You get the dancing, you get the music. Yeah, it's just like an awesome way to spend an evening or an afternoon. So I'm not surprised there's some partner dancing on there. And we certainly had like so much fun learning some ballroom dances. I think my favorite might be the waltz, which is kind of too bad because like that requires a specific type of music. So it's not, I feel like it's not the most common ballroom dancing that comes up at like weddings or whatever. But we had a lot of fun.
Yeah. Well, we won't spend too much time on these. The third one is contemporary, but I don't know what type of dance that is. What
That's
is
great.
contemporary dancing?
That's what I practice is
Okay.
contemporary dance. So contemporary dance is kind of, modern dance is the rejection of the classical dance. So it's the get rid of the point shoes, it's the let down the hair, it's the invite more like African dance influences into it, and like get low to the ground, bend your knees, use the weight of your body in action, contract and expand, and it's all that freedom stuff. And then contemporary dance kind of builds on that, but it also tends to incorporate other disciplines, other dance styles, some theatrics, some more kind of statement works that don't necessarily, like, you know, that have that border between, is this movement or dance, or like, you know, there's the Mary Chouinard piece where she goes onto the stage and pees in a bucket, and that's the piece, you know, like then we're getting into this like weird category. It's a very broad category, I would say. So it feels, I like to give it that context of like ballet to modern to contemporary to contextualize like where we're at right now with contemporary dance, and that kind of, yeah, how do we, what can we mix in here to make the statement that we want to make and play with discipline. Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess that the movie The Last Dance, would that be contemporary dance?
Oh, The Last Dance. What is that? That's like, yeah, that's like urban contemporary. Yeah, there's a lot of, yeah, if you're genre bending, then you could probably slap a contemporary on there. Yeah, I'd say so.
What's hip hop? That's number 4, hip hop.
Hip hop is urban dance. Again, like I get cautious about speaking too authoritatively on urban dance. I am a novice. I've taken some hip hop, I've taken some breaking, and I absolutely love it. I'm totally out of my element and challenged in those environments. Because it's different than what I grew up doing. But it's great. Yeah. A lot of those music videos you're gonna see hip hop influence and
Okay, I understand.
yeah.
So what's jazz dance? That's number 5. So is that jazz like?
Yeah, like Bob Fosse, like
Yes. Okay.
Broadway. Yeah,
Right.
for
Okay.
sure, for sure.
All right.
Yeah.
Tap dance. I love. I'm thinking of taking tap dance. I love tap dance. What do you think of tap dancing?
Yeah, tap dance is great, you know, if you've got like really strong rhythm and strong ankles, then tap dance might be the dance for you. Yeah, it's great. I love watching like those old movies with the
Fred
masters.
Astaire, yes, and Ginger
Oh,
Rogers.
yeah,
Oh, love
tap
it.
dancing
Yes.
up and down the staircases and through
I
the
want to
night.
learn that. I'm so desperately to want to learn tap dance. Someone asked me, if they wanted to teach me how to tap dance, I'd have to go out and get some
Ooh.
tap shoes. But I don't know where to even buy tap shoes. So, but yeah, it's tap dancing and tango I want to learn. And number 7 is folk dance. What is folk dance?
Well, I think folk dance needs a region. Like folk dance is like,
Oh,
like
it's in one category, one umbrella. I see.
flamenco dance is a folk
Oh,
dance.
okay.
Like Scottish dance is a folk dance. River dance
How
is a
about
folk dance,
salsa? Where does
right?
that fit in?
Salsa is a folk dance, sure.
Okay.
You know, if you go back long enough, like jazz has like folk dance roots in like in African dances. Like there's, there's Gambi dancing in Bermuda is a folk dance. Like powwows have folk dance, like of the Canadian Indigenous people. Like there's, yeah, folk dance is a pretty broad term.
So I take it that salsa and Macarena are under that umbrella as well.
I would say so. Yeah. I'm also thinking of like Quebecois line dancing.
Line dancing. That's not really dancing though. I've seen it done in like bars, but
Um,
that's not dancing. That's just like,
sorry, it's not called line dancing though. In the Quebecois folk dance
oh, that
is
one.
called something else, and I've lost it just in this moment. But yeah, line dancing. Yeah, line dancing is probably a folk dance as well. Yeah, you're
It's a weird
shuffling
dance though. Yeah,
side to
like
side and kicking your
what
feet.
is that? It's not even a dance.
Well, you know me. I'm very happy to accept everything as a dance. So
Diversity. Yeah. Yeah, it is a dance. Basketball, they're playing basketball. They're dancing. They're just trying to get the ball.
that's
Um,
right. Yeah,
yeah.
I'm on board.
Yeah. And number 8 is Irish dancing. You mentioned that before. So I love Irish dancing and mostly Irish, Scottish, Polish. They all got the same sort of, uh, doing with their feet. Like if I were to learn Irish dancing or something, I would like to know how does the feet work like that. And you ever seen that one where they have their hand on the table and it was that scene from Elf that Will Ferrell did on the table. He was doing like this and clapping. Like I've seen that done. Some sort of Swedish.
Oh yeah,
Like how do they do that one? That's tiring. That would be
yeah.
tiring for me.
Strength. Yeah.
And 2 more. So one of modern dance, number 9.
Hmm.
What is that? Is that can you put shouldn't all those like ballet, ballroom, contemporary shouldn't that be under as modern dance, or is that a totally
No,
different
no,
dance?
no.
Oh, okay.
No, modern dance is very much that anti-ballet dance. That's like Merce Cunningham. That's Isadora Duncan. That's Margie Gillis. That's, yeah, let's get the hair down. Let's get the shoes off. Let's get back into the earth. And yeah, that contraction expansion. Limon, Graham, like there are the grandmasters of contemporary dance. Yeah, which is, I guess, ultimately was born in the States, and it's not as old as jazz or folk dance or ballet. It's but not as young as these urban dances either. Yeah, it's like a stepping stone, I would say, between contemporary dance and ballet, modern.
And by the way, everyone, Allison Burns information will be linked in the description below. Also, mention number 10, swing dance, one and
Yeah,
only swing dance,
yeah,
and that needs a partner.
yeah, for sure. So I think everything that applies to ballroom also applies to swing dance. I think swing dance tends to be even more casual. Ballroom, and again, I'm not an expert in any of these except for contemporary and like maybe a bit ballet because I did it for 14 years. But so I'm just touching the surface on these partner dances. But swing dance seems to have less
Mhm.
structure, less rules. It's a little more playful, and it's like tends to be, yeah, just like not looser, if that makes sense. I think it's more
Mhm.
casual. Yeah.
That's excellent. Wow, Allison Burns, we're so happy that we were able to talk to you again, and it's been so long. Before we close this off, could you give us a little bit of word of advice to up and coming dancers? They want to be dancers. Where did they start?
Oh my goodness.
They put you on the spot, did I?
So
I
much
put you on the
running through
spot.
my
I knew it.
brain. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Persistence is has been my best friend. Is just being persistent. It's a really tough gig. If you keep showing up, you're doing so well. You're gonna outbeat everybody if you just keep showing up. I would also say consistency is really, really helpful in this field. If you can keep showing up for yourself every day and keep practicing. And I'm just like these books I read are flooding through my brain. Like if you can find a biography of somebody that you are inspired by in the discipline, or if you can listen to podcast interviews with somebody who inspires you, or like if they're still living, like reach out to them and ask for advice, because it's like a very windy road. So if you can identify where you want to be, and then find someone who's there and like follow them over there, I think that's really helpful. Like if apprenticeship is something that's available to you, like 100% go that path, because this is not a cookie cutter situation where you do ABC and you end up at D. Like it's a wild world out there.
Exactly. Where everyone, Allison has her Dirty Feet podcast. You can go to the website, dirtyfeetpodcast.com. She also has a YouTube channel. Many of her dances, like Blue Flame, and really terrific. Actually, before we go, my brother took dance, and he's pretty good, but not as good as you, though.
It's all relative.
Yeah. So if you go to Allison's website, AllisonEB.com. Last time it was AllisonEBDance.com, which was wrong. So we've corrected that. And watch her first episode last year. It's episode 40. If you want to know more and dig deep down into her psyche. It's a long time ago. It's a lot of psyche there. Psyche, guys, not psycho, okay? But I really appreciate it, Allison, that you mostly a lot of people actually get a second time. Some have gotten a third and fourth. So if you ever want to, show up again, just let me know. But appreciate that. So one moment. Okay, everyone. So we're going to end this stream with Allison Burns out.
Thank you.